Hi, good evening. How are you doing? I hope you had a good day. My name is Roland, and this is a program called In Her Shoes. I'm one of your hosts, and you're probably wondering to yourself, did he just say in her shoes? Why is he on here? Well, I'm on here because as a man, I want to find out, I want to learn more, I want to understand the issues that women face, and hopefully some of the men who are listening will also get to understand and begin to take steps to help and to be more of a helpmeet to the women in their lives. I'm just one of the hosts. With me is my co-host, Teresa Benjamin, and I'm going to ask her to just say hi. How are you, Teresa?
Hi everyone. Hey Roland, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, I'm well.
Awesome. You wouldn't believe how much taking this journey. I'm so excited doing this journey with you. This is we're entering into some uncharted waters here, and it's a fun ride, and I'm looking forward to it. Just our preliminary talks on the topic too have been like it's just energizing me and getting me really excited about what it is that we're going to be taking on. So for those of you who do not know, In Her Shoes is a woman's program, and it's about every issue a woman faces, regardless of her socioeconomic or religious or educational background. And the main purpose of our discussions are to help our men, yes, you brothers, understand our side of life. And we hope that men and women will take this journey with us. And we're looking forward to taking this walk with you.
Yes, indeed. And one of the things I want to make sure I put out there is that we're not here to argue or debate. I'm not here to tell you I'm right, and I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. What we want to do is we want to have a meeting of the minds. We want to ensure that when this is finished, we can go away understanding each other better. And that's the whole purpose of this. It may involve us going into the word a little bit, and I hope you will enjoy that as much as I will.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, today, my brother, I'm sorry to say, it is about the topic that we're going to be dealing with today. It's about a woman's period. Yes, sir. We're going to be teaching you a thing or two about menstruation. It's one of those things that it's there, it's real, people are experiencing it, but it's not cute to talk about, so it doesn't necessarily get a lot of attention. So we're going to deal with that. We're gonna change the narrative, and we're going to talk about we're tackling it head on.
And that's something that we wanted to hear on this program. In Her Shoes is about tackling stuff. And the idea is if I can understand it, I'm sure all the men out there can understand it too. So that's what we're
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, brother, I gather you did a little bit of research earlier this week
Yes, I
and
did.
found out a little something something about periods. Tell me about
Ooh,
that.
it was really interesting for me. I was able to sit and have a conversation with somebody who really went through it. And her experience involved more than just her. She
Okay.
is from a big family that you hear about,
Mm-hmm.
and she had six or has six sisters. And so imagine that one household,
Mm-hmm.
six women plus the
Wow.
mother.
Ooh.
At one point in time, we would have up to 5 girls having menstruation at a given time, including my mom. That would make it 6. And being that we're from that rural community, things were very rough, very hard. We um we had to struggle it through, and that means at that time when we were growing up. Right, surprising to say, even though I'm young, I still have encounters of it, flashbacks, remembrance, to say that while we were growing up, our mom, what she could afford was the cotton fabrics. And those are what we had to use in those days, cotton fabrics. And she showed us how to use it carefully. She took us as girls and she spoke to us, showed us she illustrates to us how to place them properly. And yeah, actually, she guided us how to use them. And that was our only means at the time. And also, in doing that, there were special ways, special things that we have to do. I recall when my mom at the time, what she told us was to, and she provided for us also, was some little strings, like some little belt string that we had to place around our waist, right, around the hip area. Then she told us how to place it and how to wrap it over the string so that it would not be easy to lose and to remove from the position that it is in. You know, in those days, we never used to hear that, okay, you should ensure that you change your napkins at least every 3 hours, etc., etc. So, you just have it on and you go to school up and down and playing, etc. And then if you're not careful, what can happen? You can start having a scent or odor. And I can recall one of the girls in my class, she said, Delia, oh, you smell so like bathe last night or bathe this morning. And I was like, no, but I bathe. I bathe. She said, no, something not smell right. You just walk past me. And I'm like, no, but I go to the bathroom. And I said, and I felt shame.
You've made me wonder something now. Of course, I don't know, right? So I have to ask you. Does that thing of having to change regularly, does it get easier if you have the handy pads, or is it easier if you're using the cotton resources? I don't know, so I'm asking.
Well, easier in the handy pads, yes, because of the method that you would use. It's two different methods.
Mhm.
And then it would be, I think the handy pads there and then would be able to
Oh,
hold more of the fluid that is coming out, because remember that you're toggling with fabric against fabrics. When I say
right.
fabrics, meaning that your underwear, the
Mhm.
tights that you might wear to school, as well
Mhm.
as your uniform, wearing which the
Mhm.
napkin itself, it has a plastic coating at the back of it. So there it is, that kind of help prevent a lot of leaking, even though it has the plastic at the back of it, and some of them have the wings
Mhm.
side of it, then it still does not prevent you from having accident, because that's why I use the term lack of education, not knowing how to use them properly. Because if you don't put them properly, you don't install them properly in your underwear, then you can have accidents coming from the sides of the napkin.
Right, right, right.
I did some little research on it with me and my daughter, who is now 14 years old, and we realized that they said, because I always wonder why it is that both of us started at the same time, or she started a day before, or me a day before, vice versa. And they're saying that once women are in close proximity or close contact, then that is possible to happen. So obviously, it happens to all of us at the same time,
That's
within the
astonishing. I had
same
no idea.
course. So
Wow, that's astonishing. There's so much that we don't know about women that we need to really try and find out. Uh, Teresa, I tell you, that interview with my guest was just eye-opening. It was a wake-up call to me, because what I learned, what I heard, was stuff that never ever came across my mind. But now, what I would love for us to be able to do is to introduce our special guest, right? She's here to help us to understand her perspective on
Mhm.
period poverty as well, and her name is Trishona McGowan, and she's an award-winning, we say it again, award-winning sports journalist, multi-talented sports professional, and she has over 8 years combined experience in sports marketing, administration, reporting, performance analysis. Man, she's qualified.
Absolutely. She's a decorated former national junior track athlete with gold, silver, and bronze medals under her belt, received in regional and international IAAF accredited athletic meets, and our local ISA Champs silver medalist. Not only is she an athlete, she's obviously a girl like me. She's a woman who has had her fair share of challenges with menstruation and witnessed many other women go through similar challenging circumstances of their own. Welcome, Trishana.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Hi.
Trishana.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
So
I'm
good to
so
have
happy
you.
to be a part of. Yeah, I'm so happy to be a part of the program, and I love the name. I love the name so much. And also the best part is Roland being a guy. So we actually get to educate him on, about literally being in her shoes. So I really do love the
Absolutely.
name.
Thank you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining us. That's really cool. And as you join us, I'm gonna just throw the first question at you. I want to ask you, what is your background? Where are you from? Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. Live in Kingston, Jamaica, the best Caribbean island ever.
Yes.
But yes, it is. It's the best Caribbean island. I mean, everywhere has challenges. We're no unique to that. We're really not unique to that. So I'm from the beautiful island of Jamaica. I was brought up initially by a single mother after my father passed away suddenly when I was age 7. She later remarried. She later got married as we aged, teenagers. It's now 3 of us. My brother that resides overseas in Denver, Colorado, and I have a younger sibling just approaching preteen. So that's pretty much my life and how I was brought up, by a single mother in a household of similar to the story that Roland introduced
Mhm.
about it was what 3 adult women alongside myself as a teenage girl in a household. So just imagine having to deal with the menstrual cycle at that
Mhm.
time. So that's really how I was brought up.
That's how you were brought up. All right. The topic this evening or today is about period poverty. What does that mean to you?
It's difficult. And like I stated, 4 women in a household, 3 adults, 1 teenage girl. We're not from a lot of money. My mother did nail. She was a nail technician at the time, into cosmetology, and just being a single mom.
Mhm.
And residing when you live in a household together, sometimes they say the cycle sync. So just imagine sometimes, my period would be coming this time and maybe in 2 days time or a week time, maybe another person, and it goes on and on. So limited money, but you have to be buying sanitary napkins. It can be challenging. It was challenging. And I know of similar stories during my time in high school. And even now as an adult, I know of people who cannot afford to purchase sanitary napkins. It's the same thing. But my mother always prioritized whatever is best for me. And if it meant sacrificing, not, if it meant sacrificing her having enough and maybe wearing one longer for longer hours so that I would have, those were the things that I had to go through, which many people are do not admit to. Let me put it that way. Because
Right,
it
right.
can be costly, especially when you want to buy different brands, and some brands are a little bit more costly than some. I
Mhm.
think we're now we're in a much civilized time where other companies they're now come on board, where sanitary napkins are affordable for some compared to others. So like I said, no, like when I stated that maybe my mother wearing one before longer than she would have wanted. So women maybe change their sanitary napkin for for every 2 hours, for example, depending on her flow. So we should maybe go 2.5 hours then, just a little longer, so that she's not using up too much, so that they finish and then I wouldn't have, so just to make sure that, it is being stretched in terms of if you have 18 in a pack, you want that 18 to last based on the budget that you have and so on. So like I said, it was challenging, but I think now
That's
in
right.
2021, what you have found is here in Jamaica, we have companies who have made very affordable, comfortable as well, sanitary napkins. And I'm really happy for that, especially knowing the story of other girls and other women who have similar financial struggles to purchase.
I get you. And one of the questions I wanted to ask is what happens when you are sleeping? I assume that this doesn't take a break. If it's going for several days, you have to do something when you're sleeping. What happens then? When you go to bed at night, I mean.
Oh wow, that is such a challenge. Roland, oh my God. That's like you're trying to have me relive the sad moments.
Wow.
But no, that is such a struggle, I think, for a lot of women.
Yes.
Yes. Whenever for I can speak for myself. I try not to speak for other women because all our experiences are really different. So whenever I go to bed, so for the first 3 days, I have to lay out like a blanket or a towel, a dark towel. And I'm pretty much not able to roll too much because if the flow is too heavy, it doesn't matter. Sometimes, like I said, modern day, so the sanitary napkins, you have the overnight ones where they're long to the back and to the front, so that it gives you room to be a little comfortable than the norm. However, depending on a woman's flow, sometimes it's still not enough. So I would lay out
if I can add to that, some women, they actually use multiple, so you have that extra coverage at the front.
Exactly.
It is there's a lot of gymnastics that goes into this.
It's a whole thought process. It's a whole thought process.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like you said, it's like figuring out math, like what equation works here.
Yes.
And you might not always get it right. So like I said, I use those, I will use like overnight, but I still spread out the towel. And it's like you're sleeping like a soldier. You don't want to move. Because if you move, the flow and so on and so forth. So it can be very tough at night. And then the thing is, remember at night, Roland, women, you're laying down in 1 or 2 positions. You hardly find a woman on her menstrual like sleeping on her back because you don't want that flow to be running to the back. So you're gonna sleep either on the sides, or you try to sleep on the tummy. But we really stick to the sides as best as possible. It's like being pregnant, you can't sleep on the tummy. So you're just trying to find what's comfortable. Also, what you found is, when you're in both those positions on the side or on the stomach, let's say you have to go to the bathroom in the night. If you're like me, I make several trips to the bathroom because I hate feeling yucky down there. So you go to the bathroom, but the thing is, first you have to get up off the bed. So you get up off the bed and you stand, and there's that rush. Oh my God. Traumatized, like that rush. And like I said, especially for the first 2 to 3 days, it's like, what's going on? Like, am I gonna die? We know we're not gonna die, but it's just so tough, like what the body is going through. So that flow. So for me, once I get off the bed, whether during the middle of the night or even in the morning after waking up, I stand up for a few minutes next to the bed, and I'm like, do your thing. Before I proceed to walk off to the bathroom. So like I said, it's tough for some women, while for others, it's really just another thing. They can move about just fine, but at night it can be really challenging and it interrupts your sleep depending on your flow. Because like I said, for me, I'm a water drinker. I drink a lot of water. So just imagine consuming a lot of water throughout the day, then having your menstrual, having to go to the bathroom at about 2 a.m. and again, maybe at 4 a.m., and it can be challenging, but we make it work. That's what we do.
Yeah, you women make it work. And
Yes.
I'm listening to you now and I'm thinking to myself, never cross my mind that your sleep is going to be interrupted by this.
Yeah.
Never cross my mind that you can't even actually rest the way you want to rest.
No, you can't. The pain, because some women will have cramps. I have horrible cramps for the first.
Sorry, Trishana, I'm not cutting you, but let me ask a question then. This thing of period poverty suggests that there are times when you probably can't afford to buy the pads or you can't afford to buy the painkillers. What do you do then?
Oh Lord. So for me, so in my earlier years, now I'm a grown woman, but in my earlier years, I went to a very established high school in Kingston, Jamaica, one of the best all-girl institutions, St. Andrew High School for girls. What they taught in guidance counseling classes was how to make sanitary napkin using tissue, just in case of an emergency.
Right.
So you're supposed to make it so good using your hands and so thick, it comes almost down to the layer of your wrist, that you must know your flow to know how thick you should make it. Mm-hmm. So what you found was, over the years, I have bad period, but then I was allergic initially to some of the sanitary napkins. So I always had tissue and stuff. So when we had tissue, I would use the tissue to put on top of the sanitary napkin itself. What I found then from early on in high school, when
Sorry,
we
stop
put
a
on
second.
the board,
Sorry. I'm trying to get the picture here. You have a sanitary napkin, but you
Mhm.
put tissue on top of it,
on top of it, right?
and that makes the sanitary napkin last longer.
Exactly. So you're getting it.
Oh,
Exactly.
oh,
Right. So I realized that while I might be a little allergic to the sanitary napkin, I found that with using the tissue as well, one of the other factors was it allows one sanitary napkin to last longer because there is nothing going on it. So it's making the sanitary napkin with the tissue so it's just as thick and can handle the flow like the sanitary napkin can, and nothing. So if I did it and like the period was bad and like the sanitary napkin would have got something, then I would throw it out. But I made it so good because you were taught that in case of an emergency in high school, because there were girls that really could not afford sanitary napkins. So you were taught how to make one, with tissue so that you can use it just in case. So once I did that, I did it very well. I did it very well, which I when I realized that, oh, this is not only helping me from being allergic to the sanitary napkin and also the bacteria of what some sanitary napkins might carry, but I actually get to save back in terms of the use now of a sanitary napkin. So that
yeah.
too was important.
So some people actually have allergies to pads, and they have allergies to what they are supposed to use.
Yeah, I think, and that's with anything. It's similar to like deodorant. Not all deodorant that you use for
Right.
the men can use, and it's the same for other women.
Yeah.
Because what you find is some sanitary napkins. I think what you have for even panty liners, so women, Teresa can attest to that. They will have the one that says
None,
non-scented,
yeah,
unscented,
or
unscented.
hypoallergenic, yeah.
Right. But you
Mhm.
and I know sometimes they only put these things on labels, but it's actually scented or something.
When you
So what
walk out, when you grab it off the shelf and then you find out
exactly,
otherwise. Yep.
and we're not paying attention. So what you find is some women then now use those sanitary napkins, and it's after using they realize that they have like a slight shape. It's like a baby. They have a
Mm-hmm.
slight shape,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes some women they're not realizing as well what's causing the shape, but it's
Mm-hmm.
really the sanitary napkin because
Yes.
after the menstrual cycle has ended, it's gone. So when I use the tissue, the right tissue, because again, not all tissue brands work for you, will work for me. So once you're using the right tissue brand to even shield that, it will help you from becoming shaved. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also depending on the brand in sanitary napkin. So I've always encouraged younger girls to find out what brand work for them because not all brands work for everybody
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
get you.
And
And
unfortunately, inadvertently, that also contributes to the element of period poverty, where if sometimes it may be a situation where the one that is most suited for you, the price point on that one tends to be is problematic for that girl or that family to maintain. So that's another layer of the allergic reaction and the associated decisions that have to be made. That even just add another layer to this dynamic of period
Yeah,
poverty and just the difficulties that we
it is
as women
challenging.
experience.
Yeah, it is challenging. And I think that like I said, I think now in 2021, a better job has been done in terms of manufacturing.
Yes.
And whenever you find that you have monopoly or one or two companies, being distributors,
Mm-hmm.
they, how do I put it? They take advantage of the situation. Let me put it
Mm-hmm.
that way.
as
So
in
back then,
Jamaica
you
we
maybe
say,
had two
yeah,
brands who were successors
Mm-hmm.
compared
in
to
Jamaica,
now when you have other companies on board that
Yes.
allow things to be a little bit more affordable so people
Yes,
can
absolutely.
afford more.
Mm-hmm.
You have different price ranges right now that can cater to the lower class, middle, and upper class. And even then, even though you have those that are affordable, that people say, oh, the lower class can afford, there's still those struggling to even purchase.
Yes,
right,
yes.
right, right.
And one of
Yeah.
the things to add to that also is the quality of the products that are available now across all price ranges are pretty much comparable. So you're not necessarily losing or at a disadvantage by purchasing a less expensive, I don't like the word cheap, but a less expensive brand.
A less expensive brand.
Yes, yeah, you're still getting the quality, but absolutely I agree with you. There's still a number of our women who, even with the lower price point, are struggling on a monthly basis.
Because when you look at it, for example, I did a post recently on my social media Instagram page, and I spoke about the cost of a sanitary napkin that I bought, and it depends again on the woman's flow. So we cannot assume that all women gonna have a regular period flow for 5 to 7 days. Where if she's to buy one of the affordable brands that costs maybe, let's say it's overseas and it's $1.25 or $2, in that pack is only 10 or 18. So it depends on her flow. Will she need 2 packs of those? So now her cost is going up. Versus even in Jamaica, the cost is also 200 Jamaican dollars, which might be $3 there or thereabout. You know, it's just a matter of, like I said, her flow. How many packs will she need to sustain her period? And it also depending on her flow. So those are some of the things I think we should take in consideration when they speak about period poverty. It's not just about affordability of 1 pack of sanitary napkin, but how much does it cost to really sustain her period? A woman might need panty liners because the period is now slowing down. You don't really want to be walking around with a whole sanitary napkin wasting all for hours if the flow is not heavily pouring down.
I just wanted to get a better idea as to what the list of items is. She mentioned sanitary napkins, painkillers, panty liners. Is there anything else that you would use, maybe not every time, but something that you would want to have in your possession?
A heat pack.
A heat pack, okay.
Yes,
what else
and extra
again?
underwear if you're going on the road.
Extra underwear, wow, right, okay.
Yeah, because listen, Roland, it's a process. So for me, I have very bad period. So when my menstrual is on for the first day or two, I really don't want to be going anywhere, but I'm a journalist, so I have to be on the go. Right. So in my pack, I will pack 2 extra underwears. Maybe I'm being a little extra, but I prefer to have them, not
safe.
To have.
Absolutely, better safe than sorry. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have 4 sanitary napkins, 2 regular sizes, and also 2 overnight, just in case. And I also have tampon and painkillers, and that's all in
tampons.
One little pack of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mention tampons before. What is the difference really between a tampon and a sanitary napkin? Can I ask that?
So the tampon is, the tampon allows you to feel a little bit more comfortable in terms of, in every way, in terms of what you wear on the day and so on. But again, it comes back to the flow and when you choose to use the tampon. I know a lot of doctors, again, depending on a woman's flow, they might not suggest for you to wear a tampon on the first 3 days. So for me, I do not use a tampon until maybe day 4 or 6, when I know it might be finishing over a 7-day period. So I'm not going to chance it wearing a tampon, but once it depends too. So if I'm doing broadcasting and I'll be seated for hours, I will wear a tampon, but I'm also wearing a sanitary napkin just in case. I like to be safe because I've seen over and over, where there are mishaps with women.
Accidents.
So I prefer to be, I prefer to be safe. So inserting the tampon inside, but wearing a sanitary napkin in the underwear makes you even double secure. So like I said, during a broadcast, I will do that because I realize I might not be able to maybe move for another 2 hours. So I change it just before going on for broadcast. So I know that I am prepared so that when I'm finished, then I run to the restroom and I can change. So it depends on what the woman is doing. Then she will know how to navigate as best as possible. But to answer the question, the tampon allows you to feel very comfortable. And sometimes even allow women, even on menstrual, if it's not too heavy, she can wear whatever she chooses to on that day.
I hear you. Okay, Theresa was going to ask a question. Go ahead, T.
Before I get into the question I was going to ask, you touched on something I would love for Shauna, for Roland's benefit, we could dig a little bit more into, and that is what a woman is wearing on each day of her cycle and the considerations that we have to have when we're choosing an outfit, depending on where we are in the cycle and what our flow is each day. I would love if you could dig into that.
I go black. Theresa?
Can't go wrong.
I go black. It's like a funeral. Roland, I go black pants, black skirt, or red. And the thing is, I try not to wear a lot of pants during my period. I wear dresses or skirts, just in case of an emergency. The skirt can turn around or the dress can turn around. So it can go from the back to the front. You know, with pants, it's hard to really turn the back to the front because sometimes it has a zipper and so on. So I'm very conscious of those things, but I go black. Other women will wear floral stuff, multicolor stuff, and so on. But I or dark colors, I should say, for some women. I go black. I prefer it that way. But like I said, there are other women who will wear red, multicolor things, etc., etc. But I play it safe and I go black, and I prefer to wear dresses and skirts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, good
So
to know.
add to your little list that you're building there, Roland, in addition to the shopping bag that we have to walk with, there's also this consideration before we set foot out the door. Okay, where am I and what am I wearing and where am I going and how long am I going to be there? Shoshana, you touched on the standing versus sitting, the walking versus sitting. All of these things factor in, Roland, when each day before we can set foot out the door. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's rough stuff, and I hope
it's a struggle.
I hope the men are listening, because all I do is just pull on something and go. I don't have to worry about that.
we don't have that luxury. We do not have that luxury at all.
All right.
But
go ahead with your question, though.
Yes. Well, my question quickly was, within the context now of an athlete, a female athlete, student or professional, what are some of the challenges for that young lady within that space, training, entering in competitions? And I mean, you can't choose when you're going to compete, when you're going to train relative to your menstrual cycle rather. So what are some of the considerations for athletes and the challenges that our athletes face quickly?
I think for all athletes, women, senior women and girls, young girls, you find is whenever the period, some, again, not all women, whether regular life, women not doing sports, the cramps is an issue. So you find that if they're professional athletes, they speak to a doctor so they know what painkiller to take. So maybe they'll just opt to take a Panadol, and that's for all women. Sports women, I should say, sorry. What you also have to take in consideration, if it's the case where they're going to compete, they're also conscious about the attire. So instead of maybe running in a two-piece where it includes a panty and a crop top, they will maybe up to a booty tights where they're more comfortable wearing an underwear and a sanitary napkin or tampon and an underwear as well. So they make it work. It's challenging, just like for the other women going about our busy lives at work, in the office and so on. And they've made it work. I know that some will sometimes feel uncomfortable, that, especially if it's a track meet or an event, swim meet, etc., where there will be cameras. I wonder if the camera is going to zoom in and they will see my panty line or so on, or will I, have a little leak? So I know it is challenging, but I think things and times really changing. Coaches are becoming a lot more understanding, and the girls are being a lot more open to having the discussions with their coaches and managers, so that there's a safe space so everybody's comfortable knowing what to do.
All right. If I can ask a quick question then, Trishana, what would you give as advice to particularly young girls who are going through this and the adult men who are perhaps fathers or caregivers of these girls? What kind of advice would you give?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Let me quickly jump onto the daddies, because, growing up in a household where, like I said, in the early stages, I did not have a father. My dad died at 7, but my mom's husband, my stepfather, is amazing. Like I said, it's a discussion to be had, and the mothers can lead that conversation, along with the fathers with daughters, have to get to a place where they're comfortable understanding. You need to understand, so once she starts that cycle of life, without crying too much, but ask the right questions. Are you in pain? Is there anything that I can get you? Because the mood swings, the emotions, so many things are happening at that time that is really so tough. I have horrible cravings. I want ice cream, cake, fries, burger, milkshake, and I can go on and on. You start feeling insecure because you're so bloated. So many things. Make her feel comfortable. Make your daughters and your wives feel comfortable to know that this is such a tough time for me. I'm feeling emotional. This is the distress that I'm in. and it will maybe last for maybe just a couple weeks, depending on the cycle that she's having, or just before the period. So it's just discussion. Communication can never go wrong. Now to young girls, start being comfortable with what's happening with the body, because we did not choose this, and we cannot get rid of it until menopause. You know, so have the right discussions, and even when you get to a particular age, know what's best for you. If it means you taking birth control, whatever it is necessary to make you feel comfortable, do just that. Ask the right questions, whether from your gynecologist, from a friend, because I believe one woman helps another. And that's all I would advise, you know, every girl, have the discussion. Like I said, communication regarding the menstrual cycle is never too much, will never be too much. And we all are learning still as we're having the cycle until we reach menopause.
Wow,
Yes,
thank you so
absolutely.
much for that. I really appreciate that. And I just want to say thanks to our guests. This has been a really enlightening conversation for me. And I just want to encourage everybody who's listening, and particularly the men who are listening, pay attention to your wives. There's a little passage in the Bible where it says, they will know us by our love. Who do we love? We love the women around us. We want to care for them. We want to be people who they can come to when they need help. And so I'm just encouraging all of us, as we listen to something like this, things that we never thought of, never heard before, never even crossed our minds. Let's just take this opportunity to exercise love, exercise understanding, and be there for the women in our lives as they go through these different things.
Thank you so much for joining us. You have
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. You brought a reality and a realness to this topic that is we don't experience very often, and I thank you so much for it. And I just want to share, in addition to what Roland said, ladies, young girls, you're not alone. And this is a reality that we all experience. And it's a beautiful thing. It's challenging, yes, but it is a beautiful thing. And it should be embraced, and we should not feel that it is anything that limits us. And let's have some more discussions on the topic. Let's share the knowledge and let's empower our sisters. Roland, thank you for being open and for being willing to have these discussions with us and just share and learn on behalf of the brothers. This is a great thing that we're doing here.
Thank you very much. And Trishana, thank you so much. Your candor, how open you are, it's just great. Thank you so much for sharing with me.
Awesome. So with that, we wrap up yet another episode of In Her Shoes. Thank you so much for joining us. And please tell your friends about it. We've got lots more interesting topics to talk about.
This was In Her Shoes, and I'm here taking the steps.